All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I got another watch list for you, and the Japanese yen is going to go crazy this week. But before we talk about any of that, you are still going to be getting earnings out of Netflix, even Procter & Gamble, and the bank stocks aren't done. I don't know if you guys remember what we saw on Friday. It was crazy. The banks sold off, then they got bought up, but this rally and what is going on with the market. We are halfway through January and people are talking. Actually, I got to start with it. First, this pretty picture, this does not show you what I'm talking about, but I'll tell you right now, this is the best start to the year globally. If you look at the MSCI Global Index, it is the largest increase to start the year since 1988. They're calling it a generational rally. Yes. But what this chart is showing you is that after a yearly decline, it is very rare since going back to the 1950s where you watch 2 years go down in a row. There was like the early 70s, the earlier 2001 through like 2003, but even like 2008, you did rebound the next year. So why I'm bringing this up? Because a lot of people are feeling bullish. Again, the futures, they kind of calmed down here over the holiday. Europe continued to go up. Bitcoin also had another massive rally. I know I'm getting killed on my Ethereum short, but a lot of people are starting to try to change the narrative a little bit. I don't think we've missed the bottom just yet, but now let me show you another one. This is comparing the full year performance and then the following January, and essentially this is very rare where actually we've had a negative year since 2000 and then January was positive. So some people are saying we still got a lot of volatility on the horizon. We are still going to be getting earnings, and ladies and gentlemen, it's about to be a crazy one. So I got everything for you. I got the keys, the plays, all of that. And before I even tell you, I feel like, I don't know if this was enough to ask for a like. Yo, hit me up with the like and make sure you subscribe. It helps out the channel and all that. But this one is what we need. This right here, this is the random account generator. So what we do before we get trading for the week, we have a random account that we started with $500. It's doing pretty good over the last couple of years. But what we ask is you post a random option trade, keep it below $100 in budget, post the strike price, expiration date, all of that, and we are going to do a random play and we're going to buy it. And I mean, it's doing good, baby, so run it, baby.
Working to the couch, it's the 2020 election. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a little, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel it's a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down.
But right off the bat, I feel like I kind of just jumped into that. I don't know. I'm just getting excited. I can't wait to tell you about this week. But Chad, you have earnings, Japan, and then the PPI. That is the simple way to sum up what we're going to be dealing with this week. It will be a short week, and sometimes it trades a little bit more different, but there's a reason why I've given you all of this background to start. All eyes are on this recent rally, and everyone's kind of looking to see if something really changes or has changed from last year. But I'm telling you, the optimism is increasing, and depending on how the rest of the earnings this week play out, assuming Japan doesn't do anything that, honestly, if all it does is bring down the dollar, we're going to love it. And then that PPI data, that one will actually be important this week. But if that comes in softer, I really think everyone is just going to tie this into, okay, do we keep going up? Is all of the problems done? And then do you slowly watch the narrative change? But I'll tell you right now, the earnings, we're going to go a little bit more into it. But Japan, this is the one to be watching. And like I'm saying, more likely than not, it'll probably strengthen the yen and then make the dollar decline. But hopefully you don't get anything like December 20th, where, remember, the yen strengthened, dollar came down, but then we woke up to the market down like 1.5%. So that's going to be the key. And then now I'm sure you guys have heard about this thing called inflation. Well, as inflation has been cooling down, this is what has been getting people hyped. And believe it or not, the PPI on a macro sense, this will actually have some leading inputs that can kind of tell us, yeah, inflation is going to keep dropping like this or not. But what I'm trying to tell you is I actually think we'll get a bigger response on this PPI data than not. And why I say rather than not is because you've already had the CPI data. So keep that in mind. That is your first key, and we really got to see, does this turn into a traditional January, or does this turn into one of those recovery Januaries, and everyone's like, buy the dip, and then they start to go crazy. But we will find out. That is key number one. And now key number two, Netflix, baby. They are going to be the most important as far as tech goes, but you're going to get mostly bank earnings and then even Procter & Gamble this week. I think Netflix is the only big tech company, but what I want you to keep in mind is that this week we are now really starting to kick off earnings, but it isn't until next week that you get the Apples, the Amazons, the Microsofts, and then before you know it too, you're going to also be hearing from Powell. But now why I'm bringing this up is if you look at the market over this last couple of weeks and how we've ran up, believe it or not, the equal weighted S&P 500, that is doing much better than the overall S&P 500, and that's because you have a lot of those big tech names down. Apple is still down a decent amount. Tesla is falling off a little bit, but the whole idea here is that this has been a very broad rally. So in a weird way, we may not need tech to start running like crazy for this whole January rally to continue. And again, everyone's talking rally about this. If we get another good week, people are going to be liking it. But this brings us into our final key. And what I want to remind you of, it is all in Powell's hands and what happens with the Fed. And that's why I'm bringing it up here. The Fed futures are going to be the real key moving forward. However, every day we go closer without a black swan or some sort of data event to really shock the markets. And if we get through this week clean, I think it'll be hard to come up with that. Essentially, we're going to get that slower rate hike on the next meeting in about 2 weeks from now, but people are still disagreeing and saying, yeah, the Fed's going to slow down, but they're not going to cut this year, and that very well may be the next debate. But what I'm trying to tell you is that nothing has really changed from the beginning of last year or the end of last year, and we are just starting off. And even though this is a pretty violent rally, oh man, I hit the horn again, but we are just like right here. You are right where you were at, pretty much following the October rally and coming into Thanksgiving and the holidays. So we're going to really have to see, that Fed point is 415, where earlier and even around here at like 410, they said that financial conditions were unwarranted, but we still have a little bit to go to get up to that August level before we hit the October low. So we're going to see what happens here, but the market could get excited, especially with the beginning of the year and now the data flowing in the right direction. People are going to get excited and things are going to move, but in all honesty, I see this as just broader volatility, even though the VIX isn't up. So we have a lot more to cover, but we're going to see how it all unfolds. It's going to be an exciting weekend. We got our events, but ladies and gentlemen, let us get into the plays. So, right off the bat, I got 3 stacks for you. We'll even go over what I'm holding. But like I'm saying here, the yen is going to be important, very important. And then also, what is important is now I tell you to like the video. Now you like the video if you got love in your heart. And make sure you are subscribed again too, yeah? No? Okay, anyways. But YCL, we've talked about the yen for a very long time. YCL is an ETF to play the yen. So you've seen it here. I believe we got in around here. And then if you want to equate it to the futures, we have another position still a little lower, but there's a lot of upside on it. However, it is a global currency and it will be dictated by the Bank of Japan. So they're going to have a meeting, I believe, Wednesday or Thursday, but it is going to be a big week for them. A lot of people are even saying the yen is overbought, and this is something I've warned you of even when we've brought up YCL in the past. Just be careful of buying those green candles. So I do agree that it is overbought, but last month, Bank of Japan, if they make a big change to yield curve control, if they abandon yield curve control, God knows whatever they're going to do. I believe some people are saying they're going to try to introduce a new language to kind of jawbone things, but the point is, if it is a big reaction, the yen will move big, and this has a big global indicator. In a weird way, I would argue the yen and this Bank of Japan meeting, it's probably going to be the most important thing this week. So keep your eyes out for that. I'm still in my 100 shares. We got I think 10% gain or something like that. So we'll see where it goes from there. But that is play number 1. Then play number 2, they don't report this week. And I just want you to keep things in mind as the earnings begin to kick off. We may start getting run-ups, especially if the market starts feeling really good and undeterred by anything else going on. So watch out for Uber and Airbnb. I'm putting these 2 up here. They are travel names, and there has been a lot of dispersion amongst all of the other travel names, aka some of the names have done really good and and others are lagging. And I noticed on Friday, Uber and Airbnb, they started to pick up and get back to where those leaders were. So if the earnings optimism holds and gets off to the right start, I will really like these for pre-earnings run-ups. I'm already in both of them technically. I haven't added to Airbnb in a while, but remember, since December 1st, I had a swing trade on Uber. That one went negative to positive, and like I'm saying, this like $30 level for them, that one should be important. So going to be keeping my eyes out for that. That is play number 2. And then finally, going into left field here, LMT and even the other defenses. What I've noticed is like even my XLU play, they are still up, but they've came back to the same gains as Uber, which was down a lot more, and then Disney recovered, and a lot of other names recovered pretty much. There has been a lot of clapping in the defensives. Either they've sold off heavy like LMT, or they just didn't do much like XLU, and they've had a pretty weak start to the year, but it should make sense. Look at all the growth stocks. Look at everything going up. So if that continues to hold, I just want to watch if anything can change this week. If this week kind of goes sour, I think defensives may be a little bit more attractive, but if not, you're going to have to see what happens as we get into next week with all the other earnings, and then we'll see what happens. But those are the main plays. As far as everything else, I don't know what I did on Friday. Did I even I think I made a couple of trades on Friday. I think, we flipped up post-earnings, actually. I think it's a great place to start. So, yeah, on Friday, in the morning, 10 minutes in, I flipped UNH over here. It was pre-earnings. They sold off, and then they were down, but not down too much, and they sold off throughout the week. I decided to go long on 25 shares. This one was like $12 per share, but it was like $300 in gains. I thought that one was great. Got out of that, and then Wells Fargo, they sold off in the morning. All of the bank stocks did, and then I was waiting for their conference call, and I did a flip on 300 shares. So these were just post-earnings flips. Other than that, though, ended up holding what we are holding there in general. Where is it? I don't think the ES. Oh, no. Wow. I thought it was just down a lot more. So ES, we're down 1,400. That's going to be the upside. But now I'm down 11,000 on the NASDAQ. Pretty much traded in being down 11,000 on here for this one. But the difference is those bonds, they did sell off a little bit on Friday. And right now, the futures are open, believe it or not. I thought they were going to be closed for the holiday, but they've kind of came down here a little bit. And I need to show you. Here's a YCL. That one's beautiful. That one's the yen play. And remember, we still also have the 6J. That one's sitting there, but I have to show you this because you guys should make fun of me for this one. If you're the type to make fun of me, otherwise you got to be quiet. But ETH, I'm down like 20 grand on this one now. So yeah, just $8,000 here today. The ETH short has been killing, and that's because Bitcoin and Ethereum have rallied just 10% here in one day. So still going to be riding that one out, but besides that, going to be riding with every one of these plays. I don't have the Boeing up here, but that one's down. And like I'm saying, I got killed on LMT, and then we're holding the Meta. I'm going to sell out of this one before earnings. So still got 2 weeks, and then there's a couple plays like Uber that have came back to life, and then everything else that we're holding. But really going to be banking on these kind of balancing out. We'll keep losing on the NASDAQ, but make money on the ETH. And then really, I'm hoping that the bonds will carry, and then if I can find anything else to add, I will. But I'm pretty cool with going slower until we have Powell, and then hopefully being able to clean this up a lot more. Otherwise, the pain may get a little harder. But, Chad, it's going to be an exciting week. We got a nice breakdown, a lot of events. It's now the middle of the month, and where we end this month, it could be telling, especially for history's sake. So I hope you're ready. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. I need you to remember, baby, you got to keep climbing the mountain, even if you're forced, because one day you're going to look back and guess what? It's already been 3 years since 2020. You're already moving through this decade. You've made it this far. Let your time work for you. That means 10%, baby, and stay in the game and keep working and make sure you don't fall back into the same mistakes. But Chad, we got another week. Let's start the third week of the year. Let's get it out, and oh man, I just hope you're ready for all of it. But Chad, I love you. I will see you in the morning. I hope you get some good rest, and it's game time, baby. Horn.